Hi, I am Lisa Wurzbacher. I am Vice President of Sales and Marketing at Twin State Technical Services. And today I am going to do a short webinar on the web design, development, and ongoing maintenance work that we provide for our customers, and just give you a little information and actually some interesting insights, because I'm the Vice President of Sales for Twin State, but I am also a customer. I own a manufacturing company with my husband in Eastern Iowa, and not long after I started working here, we decided to move our website over and do a web project. So I'm going to talk about some of the drivers behind that and just some of the feedback that our customers give us and take you on the journey. And then you can reach out to us if you have questions or want to schedule a consultation. So the main focus today is your website working for you? Websites are an investment, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars, and also part of a company's spend on an ongoing monthly basis if you are doing web maintenance and SEO work, which we highly recommend. And so as a business owner, I always think about every investment we make and how do we generate ROI from that. And I would say there are a handful of reasons why customers come to us and want to do a web project. The first one is very well known: lead generation. A lot of us use our website to reach out to the market, cultivate leads, and find customers that we're not finding through traditional sales methods of phone calls, knocking on doors, networking. And the market's changed drastically in the last 10 years and even the last 5 years. A lot of buyers are 70% of the way through the process of doing some sort of online evaluation before they ever pick up a phone and call you. So if your website isn't fresh and pulling up in their search, then you're out. You're out before you even knew there was an opportunity. So that's the main reason. But there are other reasons people want to do a web project as well. The website can be the front door to your business often, especially if you're a regional company and you do business with companies all over the United States or even outside of the United States. We have a lot of customers that have a global business. And so the website is the front door. And especially if you're using it for lead generation, they're searching, they find you. The first impression of your business is going to be what they see when your website pops up. The other thing is, the website may be the only experience your customers ever have. Depending on where your customers are located, the reality is a lot of them may never get to your actual facility. I worked for a manufacturing company once where we had millions of dollars of state-of-the-art equipment, but the reality was most of our customers were never going to come and see our facility, and our website was terrible. So we had to do something to elevate our site so it matched the brand of who we were in person. We also do work with customers who do business on their website. We do a lot of e-commerce work, very experienced in that area. Sometimes you want to sell your products and services via an exchange on your website. And also, websites provide a lot of customer service. We think of customer service at times of the individual answering the phone when somebody calls in. But for example, a project we just did for one of our local libraries, they want their website to provide customer service to their constituents. So when somebody has questions about events or hours of operation, or they want to research some of the catalogs online, the website can work for that business where they wouldn't have to add a head count to answer those types of questions. And so I just listed off 5 values that a website can bring to a business. The goal is finding one of those that justifies that spend. And frankly, in my personal experience, that was an easy no-brainer. So I'm going to walk you through the process that I went through when I realized I need my website to do more. And then what did we do to get to where we are now? Okay, let's talk about SEO, because that was the first part of my journey. And SEO stands for Search Engine Optimization, which basically means when somebody is using a search engine like Google, like Bing, like any of the other options to find something they're looking for, how is your site pulling up. And I started working with Twin State, about a year ago. And one of the projects I worked on was with their SEO engineer. And through that process, I realized, wow, we need this to be happening on our website. We were like a lot of typical web customers where we knew we needed a website. So we had one made, and then we didn't really do that much with it. And so it's just there. But when I started to see what the engineers can do with that SEO work and the benefit that comes from it, I realized that was the first driver for me that said we need to contract with Twin State and do some sort of partnership with them. And so really what you want is when somebody's looking for your products and services, you are pulling up at the top of the rankings. They're finding you first. And I'm going to talk about some of the things that go in to figuring out what your site needs to look like in order for you to pull up at the top of a list. Okay, so what goes into SEO? Well, the first one is probably pretty commonly known: keywords. What words need to be showing up on your site so that Google likes it or Bing likes it? But it's not just keywords, it is keywords and phrases. So one thing I didn't realize was that it matters how you say something. If I say production welding company in Eastern Iowa is different than if I say gas metal arc production welding company in Eastern Iowa. So sometimes adding in a word on the end, in the front, in the middle, and just changing the phrase slightly makes a big difference. When I worked with the SEO engineer, one of the reports provided to me was about competitive pressure in the market. So even if there was a search term that said, hey, Google likes this term, they also showed me Google likes this term, but there are thousands and thousands of businesses already ranking for that. So you have a lot of competitive pressure that you're fighting if that's how you're going to try to search. But if you tweak it, now the competitive pressure goes down. So if we say this instead, the competitive pressure goes down. And it's really a ratio and a data analysis they do that says, here's the top ranking, but here's the competitive pressure. If we change the ranking a little bit, but the competitive pressure goes down enough, your search is going to pop up higher. And that's nothing I'm ever going to figure out as a business owner on my own, or even if I have somebody in my business who likes to do website work on the weekends. I mean, that's just not going to happen. The other thing they showed me was a report that said, here's how much content you need to have on your page. So there should be a certain word count. And they also have software that can run it through a program that gives it a readability score. So that was really helpful when actually writing the content, because we knew the keywords, we knew the key phrases, we knew how many words we had to hit for the page, and then we could run it through this software program that said, well, your readability score is 7.8. So let's go back to the drawing board and tweak some things to get that ranking up. That was very helpful. The other thing was about actual content layout. So on our site, our old site, we just had we had a page of information, and the engineers were able to give us feedback about how we should segment that. This should be a section. This should be another bullet point section. This should be a list. So if you're going to talk about this, have some content and then have a list of data that supports it. And those were some of the things that we looked at when trying to develop content and maximize where we needed to be to have our site really ready and optimized for SEO. So one example I will give you. We launched our website. 2 weeks later, I had my first follow-up meeting with the SEO engineer. And she showed me that there were at least 2 searches that in the past we were not even in the top 100, and now we were ranking within 2 weeks. We were ranking with the number 1 or number 2 spot, and I was blown away by that. The second thing she showed me that was very interesting is when we all do searches, Wikipedia, or now there's this AI blurb that pops up that gives you some information about that topic. And she said within 2 weeks, we had already been pulled in to an AI search. So she could tell that somebody in the market had searched for something that was related to our site and or related to the products and services that we provide. And when that person searched it, they received, an AI summary from Google, and our site was one of the sites pulled in for that. AI is something that is new, being built as we go, always changing, very hot topic. I don't have expertise in that area as a business owner. So thank God I'm partnering with somebody who does, and they can help me bring that into my business in a way that's going to give me a return. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about the actual web design process, because I was participating in these SEO projects and said, yes, we need this now. I want to pull up at the top of a Google search. And then it quickly transitioned to, what do I want my customers to see when they click and go to my site? And we had a nice site, but it was 8 years old. And so the general recommendation, which I was not aware of as a business owner, is that you should be updating your website every 4 to 5 years, which makes sense. I mean, most of us are getting new phones once a year, twice a year. We need to be conscientious about, does it look fresh? Is it giving the right impression? Is it consistent with the brand and image? Is it consistent with any new branding we've done? So as we build out other collateral like sell sheets, business cards, apparel, does it all work together? Does the site work together? And so I worked with Twin State, and they have a plethora of site options. They also have done several amazing projects. And so it was easy for me. I could sit in a meeting, almost like A/B testing, like, is site A or site B more of what you're thinking? Are you thinking mostly black? Are you looking for more of a white background? And that process was pretty lengthy. And then I also had access to a lot of examples that I could look through. And I actually really enjoyed it. That was a really fun part of the process. And we like the design so much of our new site that the rest of our branding is actually now going to follow the website. So what our site looks like is how we want the rest of our products and collateral to look, so that there's consistency. Another thing that was really valuable for us going through the web design process was it really helped us redefine who we are. Our business has changed a lot in 8 years. Most businesses do. Things that you're doing today might not be who you are 5 years from now. And over the years, we had updated our content, but when you go through the design process from scratch and you sit down to put that site map together, that is an extremely valuable process, because we got our whole team together and we sat down and said, who are we? And the site map is something that helps you identify what your priorities are. What needs to be pulling up at the top of the page? What are your headers? And then how do your products and services fit underneath each of those? And really, you think of the site map as a roadmap for your customers. And you want it to make sense. You want it to be consistent. You want it to be easy for your consumer to digest the information. So my goal is, I want somebody to come to my site and initially they find what they're looking for, their top priority, but I want it to be easy for them to navigate through the rest of the site. I want it to be easy for them to see other products and services that we offer that they may have a need for, but didn't know that we provided that. And so the sitemap exercise was actually extremely valuable, and the engineers did a great job of leading us through that process. Once you have the site map, then you start really thinking about the content. What's the content? What are the words that you're going to use, which we talked a lot about that. If you are optimizing your site for SEO, you will have that roadmap. So part of it is what's written, but also photos, videos, the images that you want pulling up on your site. It's also something that has alerted us to, hey, it might be time to do a new round of professional photos. Some people use photos they take themselves on their site, and we can work with that. But I would say from our personal experience, there's definitely a difference between the photos I snap on my phone, which we do have some of those on our site, and the photos that are taken by a professional. And so that's probably going to be a phase 2 for us, is having some professional photography done. The other thing is, Google and the search engines, they like to see that your site is working, moving, that things are always happening. And so when you're developing this site, that's also a good time to look at blogging as an option, case studies. What is some of your best work that you want to showcase? How do you want to write it up? What are some of the photos? We have a manufacturing and repair business, so we talked about putting some before and afters. At Twin State, we had a meeting with a customer once who is in a remodeling industry. So we talked about maybe shooting some video footage that showed the before and after of a project. And so those are things that would happen through the web design process. Sometimes our customers do part of the work. Sometimes they ask Twin State to do all of the heavy lifting. I will tell you, when it came to putting together the copy and the content for our site, like a lot of business owners, I thought, no problem. I'll do this. I'll do it on the weekend. I'll do it in the evenings. I'll get up early in the morning. I actually am a professionally paid writer. I write a column for a business magazine, so I thought, I can do this. No, I cannot, okay? It did not take long for me to realize, number one, I do not have the time. The second thing I realized is I do not have the skill. So just because I can write a column, a few times a year, when I saw what the copyright individual the lady that we hired for copyright, when I saw what she wrote, it was drastically different than the content that I had written. And I realized this is why you hire it done. It also got done faster. She was a pro. She sent it to me. All I had to do was read it, edit it, make some minor changes. Our site would have never gotten done if I would have continued to try to write the content myself. So I highly recommend at least considering outsourcing that, because it's not a significant part of the budget. And to me, it was totally worth the money. Also on the site, when we were building it out, so we had the content, we talked about photos, videos, case studies, but call to action buttons. So they were really good at giving me insight on where it made sense to put a call to action button. I don't want my website to be like a digital billboard where I'm constantly flashing the customer and saying, hey, call us now. But they helped us find strategic placement that said this would be a place where somebody might be motivated and you should put some sort of call to action. And call to actions could be anything. So they can help with form creation, form submission, and these are just the things that were relevant to the project that I did. We have lots of great examples of work that goes far beyond this that we've done for other customers, and we'd be happy to share that with anybody. Okay, so the last piece of the puzzle is the ongoing web maintenance. I saw SEO, I knew I needed it, I wanted it. Once I had SEO and my site was optimized and they said this is going to rank well, then I realized I needed my site to get a refresh. Once I had it, then I asked what comes next, because what we had done in the past was launch a site and then just kind of have it sit there. We had launched the site, we had done some Google ad campaigns, so we were getting some data, but we weren't getting lead generation the way we wanted at all. And so that was the real piece. So we signed a contract for ongoing monthly maintenance for a variety of reasons. Number one, I have a dedicated meeting every single month with the SEO engineer, and she pulls all kinds of reporting, like the one I already referenced, that shows how we're moving up in the rankings, where we're popping up on AI feeds, interesting searches, where they're coming from at various parts of the country. How are people accessing our site? Was it an organic search, or did they actually type in our website name because they heard about us somewhere? And so I have that monthly meeting, and then it gives us an opportunity to make tweaks. If some of the searches are going well, but some of the things we wanted to rank for aren't, then they recommend adjustments to me and maybe some changes to the content. The other thing is it helps us stay in ADA compliance. So ADA compliance is actually a legal requirement that your site is accessible and readable for anybody who might try to access it. And that's one of the things we see the most often, that our customers fall out of compliance because it's really easy. Somebody may load a photo that's not worded on the back end appropriately. You may add a plugin. You may make a change to the content on the site. It's just, there are very little things that could make your site not compliant. And so now, because I have monthly maintenance, that's constantly getting scanned. The other thing, it's, first of all, it's the right thing to do, but the other thing is the search engines don't like to see that sites aren't ADA compliant. So it's going to affect your search rankings. Also, we're making changes to our business constantly. So we may be hiring new staff, we may be launching a new product or service, maybe we're putting up a new facility. We want to be able to update our site when these things are happening, not once every 5 years. So because I have that ongoing maintenance, we can do that. It's built into that budget. It's already part of our P&L. I just sent our engineer an email the other day that said, hey, here's a recent photo that I took that's not currently on the site but would like to add. Can we talk about that in our next meeting? And so it's just a huge weight off of me that I can just forward that on, and they'll come to that meeting ready to go and say, hey, what are all the changes that we need to make? The other thing to keep in mind with monthly maintenance is that the search engines are always changing. So Google is changing the algorithms, Bing is changing, YouTube is changing. So their engineers are constantly making adjustments, and you want to make sure that there isn't an algorithm change made that's going to affect how you are ranking on the search. And the market changes. There are a lot of things in the market that are changing regionally, nationally, globally. And so that once a month check-in, there may be some new AI integration that's taking place or some new ad campaign. I can't stay up on top of that as a business owner. I'm running my business. That's my area of expertise. I need somebody else keeping an eye of all of those things and basically spoon feeding them to me in that monthly meeting saying, hey, here are some new developments. These are some things we're seeing now that you should think about integrating into your site. And then also social media. Social media is huge. Businesses are using it more and more as a marketing tool, as an engine to generate brand awareness. Usually what we're seeing is the consumer is on social media scrolling and something attractive pops up about your company. The first thing they're going to do is go to your website if they want to learn more. So we're hoping that they're on social, sitting there, something pops up, they go to your site, and they pick up the phone and call you. And if you have a strong social strategy, TwinState can absolutely integrate all of that data and data analytics into your website project so we can see how that traffic is flowing. It's really nice to get all of that information and all of that data in one spot, and to have the same engineer looking at it so that when you're going to those meetings, you can really see how is your target customer working through the digital channels to find the products and services they need. So to wrap up my journey, I would say initially 5 to 10 years ago, I thought of a website as just a tool. It's something I have to have. I'm running a business. If I don't have a website, I'm not legit. So we launched a site and it was fine. It worked for us. Then I realized I really should be getting more ROI. When I started working with TwinState and I saw the SEO work they were doing for other companies, I thought, wow, I need that. I need this site to actually work for me like an employee. And then by the end of my experience, I realized this is actually about a customer experience. This is about a customer who has a need, finding us, and when they get to our site, they are wowed. They are inspired. They have a wonderful experience, and it makes them want to pick up the phone and contact us. It motivates action. And so my perception of the priority that should be placed on the web strategy has completely changed. And I'm really excited So our site launched this year. I'm anxious to see how it works throughout the rest of 2025. We're already seeing good things. And I feel lucky. I work here at Twin States, so I had the behind the scenes edge, an advantage to see how everything works. We have extremely talented design engineers, videographer, SEO engineers, and I am just fortunate that I work with them every day, and I was able to hire them to work for the business I own with my husband. So if you have watched this, if it has been helpful for you, if it has been beneficial, if you even just want to have a consultation about your site, we do free audits. So we're happy to do just a quick scan and an audit to meet with you and say, here's what we're seeing initially. Or if you want to do, if you know you're ready and you're interested in the things I've been talking about and you're saying the time is now, I want to make this right in 2025, reach out. We're happy to set up a call, consultation, answer questions, host you at our facility, introduce you to the team. We'd love to work with you. So stay tuned for more webinars throughout the year.